Hello, Bitcoiners. Welcome back to Bitcoin Daily News. On July 1st, Europe's MiCA rules finally bit, and the same week an exchange shut its doors with nearly empty hot wallets. If your coins live on your own keys, the deadline mostly changed other people's problems. If your coins still sat on a venue that never got licensed, this is the week that distinction stopped being just academic for you. I'm Danny Satz. Company promises can freeze in a withdrawal queue. Valid signatures still settle every 10 minutes. Both sides are front and center today. On Wednesday, July 1st, the European Union's Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation, or MiCA, left its transitional period and became fully enforceable. The European Securities and Markets Authority, ESMA, had already said there would be no extension. After that date, any firm providing crypto asset services to European clients without a MiCA license is operating outside the law and is supposed to stop or run an orderly wind down that can include moving customer coins to a licensed custodian or to a self-hosted wallet. That same calendar day, the centralized exchange Ascendix said it would cease all operations. Ascendix, once known as BitMax, pointed to the regulatory environment and specifically to lacking MiCA authorization. It also said a planned strategic transaction that was supposed to bring in liquidity failed when the counterparty did not perform. The trouble did not start on July 1st. On-chain investigator ZachXBT had warned days earlier that Ascendix publicly visible hot wallets looked thin on major assets like Ether, Tether, and Solana. Reporting around the shutdown cited a sharp drop in wallet balances on June 20th, on the order of $240 million leaving in a single day. Users had been reporting slow or stuck withdrawals before the official notice landed. From Sunday, July 6th, Ascendix said every withdrawal request would go through manual review. Automated payouts paused. The exchange's own letter is careful. It does not promise when money moves, how much you receive, or that every request will be approved. It mentions verification checks, balance reconciliation, and the possibility that some requests may not be processed at all. That is the human stake side of the week. The holder freedom side is different. Hardware wallet maker Ledger, in an analysis published as MiCA took effect, stressed a line regulators have repeated. MiCA licenses crypto asset service providers, meaning exchanges, custodians, and trading platforms, not individuals who hold their own keys. A non-custodial wallet provider is not a CASP in this framing because it never takes possession of your coins. Self-custody stayed legal. What tightened was the perimeter around businesses that hold coins for others. There is a second friction point at the border. On Friday, July 4th, updated European Banking Authority travel rule guidance clarified what happens when you move more than 1,000 euros between a regulated exchange and a self-hosted wallet. The exchange may need to verify that you control the receiving address, often with a cryptographic signature from that wallet, a small test payment, or similar proof. That is paperwork at the on-ramp and off-ramp, not a ban on keeping keys yourself. To see why July 1st mattered, it helps to separate two sentences people mash together. One is, Europe regulated crypto, and the other is, Europe regulated your wallet. A crypto asset service provider, or CASP, is a business that provides services to clients like custody, exchange, and transfer processing under rules about capital, disclosures, and wind-down plans. MiCA is built for that layer. When ESMA told unauthorized firms to exit, it was telling them to stop holding customer balances without a license, not telling households to register their cold storage. Self-custody is the older shape of ownership. You generate keys, you back up a seed phrase, you sign spends yourself. No company balance sheet sits between you and the chain. MiCA's July enforcement push does not flip that into a licensed activity, any more than banking law licenses you from keeping cash in a home safe. What changes is which intermediaries may legally serve EU residents, and how hard it is to move coins across the boundary when you do use an intermediary. Ascendix is the stress test in live form. MiCA did not cause every problem at the exchange. The failed deal and the June liquidity drain point to insolvency pressure that predates the press release. But the regulatory deadline is what forced the public exit. An unauthorized venue could not simply keep operating in the EU after July 1st. Users who stayed past the transition bore counterparty risk that self-custodied holders do not. A claim on a company that may not have the coins to honor it. The pattern is old. Mt. Gox, FTX, smaller venues that freeze before the logo changes. The lesson repeats because convenience is seductive, and keys are invisible until they are not. MiCA is trying to shrink the unauthorized tail of that history in Europe. It cannot retroactively fill an empty hot wallet. For long-term holders, what matters is separation. If you already hold bearer Bitcoin in a wallet you control, July 1st did not move your coins or change the protocol rules. It changed which EU-facing companies may legally hold coins for someone else. You may notice more stablecoin delistings on regulated European exchanges. Reporting has flagged USDT pressure on EU venues, while holding the same token in self-custody remains permitted outside the CASP rules. You may notice extra steps when withdrawing more than €1,000 to your own address. That is friction on the bridge, not a seizure of the bridge's destination. If you still had balances on a venue that never obtained MiCA authorization, the week was a live reminder of the oldest Bitcoin lesson: not your keys, not your coins. Ascendix's notice is explicit that recovery is uncertain. ZachXBT's on-chain warnings were explicit that reserves looked thin before the shutdown. Waiting for a regulator to close the door is slower than moving coins before the door shakes. There is a sovereign echo in the same window, worth a little bit of time. It sharpens the same transparency point from a different direction. In early July, wallets linked to Bhutan's Druk holding moved 700 Bitcoin, about $44 million, to a Binance deposit address, according to on-chain trackers. That follows the pattern this channel covered on June 6th, when 738 coins left a tagged government wallet in a single morning. Holdings tracked by analytics firms have continued to fall toward roughly 1,750 coins now, versus about 3,100 at the time of the June piece. The fund's CEO has again told reporters he does not recall selling Bitcoin, while the chain keeps recording outbound flows. We're not going to reopen that whole story, but the rhyme matters for custody logic. Whether the seller is a kingdom or a trading desk, coins that move on-chain move in public. Your keys do not need anyone's press release to authorize a spend. Exchange compliance teams read MiCA PDFs. Block 957,000 turned over on the usual schedule. Valid signatures still settle transfers. A license deadline in Brussels does not approve the next block. A failed hot wallet in Singapore does not reduce the subsidy. The chain's job is still verification. Did this spend follow the rules? Custody law lives in national registers and wind-down letters. Both can matter to you. Only one runs every 10 minutes without asking which exchange you used last year. Some critics say MiCA is the first step toward banning self-custody in Europe. That licensing exchanges today trains regulators to license wallets tomorrow. The steel man has a grain of truth at the boundary. Travel rule verification for large withdrawals is real friction, and friction can grow. But the July 1st text and ESMA's own wind-down guidance treat self-hosted wallets as an off-ramp destination, not as an outlawed product. Ledger's analysis matches the regulatory structure. CASPs are regulated because they custody for others. Wallet makers that never touch keys sit outside that perimeter by design. Conflating "we license the casino" with we banned cash in your pocket, it gets wrong which layer MiCA actually reached this week. You hear the other version too. Ascendex proves every exchange was always a scam, and self-custody means you should never trust a regulated venue ever again. Ascendex is a cautionary tale about unlicensed counterparty risk meeting a liquidity crisis, not proof that licensed custody is impossible. MiCA's whole point is to push EU clients toward authorized firms or toward their own wallets, and to force you to stay on the wrong side of that line too long. The lesson is not, all intermediaries are fraud. What it really is claims on a company are not coins, and unauthorized claims are the weakest kind. So to recap, July 1st, MiCA enforced EU-wide. July 6th, Ascendex manual withdrawals only. No payout promise. 1,000 euros. The travel rule verification threshold at the exchange boundary. And self-custody, which is outside the CASP perimeter. Good to have you with us today. The channel will keep tracking which venues secure MiCA licenses, whether Ascendex customers recover funds, and how EU travel rule checks land in practice for self-hosted withdrawals. Subscribe, hit the bell, stay in the loop. 2 earlier pieces sit next to this one. The June 6th piece on Bhutan traced sovereign coins moving in public view, while officials disputed the label. The June 8th piece covered the first tiny strategy sale, corporate treasury plumbing, not exchange custody, but the same separation between a wrapper claim and coins on the chain. Both are linked in the description. Take care of yourself, keep stacking, see you in the next one.